get there. I'll just stay on until everyone has had one. Are we ready to start, Bill? That looks like we are. Welcome, everyone. This is the year-long Miracles course. I'm Lynn Woodland, and I'm the author of a couple of books about miracles. The first one is Holding a Butterfly, an experiment in miracle making. And actually, the whole book, it's not about miracles. I mean, it is, of course, but it also is, as soon as you start reading it, you are drawn into the experiment. So you become part of the miracle making. The second book is a continuation of that, but it's a much deeper dive into the times we're in, the breakthrough point, a spiritual activist guide to thriving in a modern world. And has anyone noticed it's a little crazy out there? We can't turn on the TV without hearing the word unprecedented. And I've been hearing a lot of pundits and news critics just start to comment on that word unprecedented, that it's so overused, it's become cliche. It means we're in really uncertain times. Yes, we are. The breakthrough point, even though it came out almost 10 years ago, maybe 8 years ago, I would say it's more relevant today than then. Why things are the way they are, it puts it into the perspective of evolution, and also gives us a lot of very practical things we need to do to ride the wave of evolution without getting sucked down into the undertow. So the Miracles course really was drawn from my 40, 50-year-long career in studying what gives rise to miracles and then teaching what I learned. I've seen a lot of miracles and figured a few things out. So this year-long course is what I think of as something of a modern-day mystery school in how to achieve spiritual empowerment. The spiritual work here is set in the context of the 4 seasons. And I use the seasons as a lovely template for the whole of human growth and the cycles that we go through from birth to death to rebirth and transformation. And the season we're in now is deep summer. We're right in the heart of summer, the time when nature is very abundant and fruitful, literally. It's really providing. It's giving us plenty. So the whole month of July, I focus on prosperity, the spiritual principles of prosperity, and money and all that kind of stuff that can be so stressful and difficult. And today, I always suggest having a pen and paper handy, and I will be probably taking you through some written exercises today, so make a note of that. Today I want to talk about what is true prosperity, how to achieve it, because true prosperity has nothing to do with money and how much of it we have. I often talk about Peace Pilgrim because she is such a wonderful example of an enlightened being. She's one of my personal favorite role models. I was talking about her last week, and she was a woman who in her middle years just let go of everything, every material thing she owned, even her name, and she just decided to walk around the country talking to people about peace. She owned nothing. She didn't live indoors. She just slept wherever she was, or if she was offered shelter, and she would eat when she was offered food. And she never felt scarcity. She lived this very richly prosperous life. If people gave her money, she just gave it away to someone who needed it, more than she did. And her life was filled with joy and purpose and incredibly good health and plenty of everything she needed and wanted materially, in spite of owning nothing. Now, she's one end of the spectrum. On the other hand, I've known people who had really good incomes, who made a lot more than I did as a spiritual minister. And they had beautiful homes and big cars and lots of possessions. And yet they lived in a state of chronic financial struggle. I had a business partner that way in real estate. She made so much more money than I did. We owned property together. She was always kind of hitting me up saying, honey, I can't really pay the mortgage for a couple of weeks. Could you spot me? I always had enough money, even though I don't know why. You know, other people, some people have all the money they want. You know, they're wealthy, they've got it. They can have whatever material stuff they want, but they lack the time or the health or the inner peace to really enjoy their material prosperity. I think that, you know, in our world today where the rich are getting richer and richer and richer, I mean, there's a lot of statistics around that I've heard, you know, one person I follow quite a bit, Tom Hartman, talks about that state of acquiring more and more and more wealth until it becomes a little bit obscene as perhaps a form of hoarding disorder. You know, that kind of material abundance doesn't necessarily bring joy and peace and purpose and all the inner qualities we might be trying to get from it. Prosperity is a state of mind. It's completely a state of mind. And when we have it, we automatically program our lives to work financially. And that means whether we have a lot of money or just a tiny bit of money, we always have our needs and wants fulfilled. It's like it works two ways, that state of inner prosperity. It sets up a vibration within us that we extend outward that just automatically attracts more without us having to compromise our well-being in the process. So we're good at attracting what we need. And we're also able to create an abundant life even when we don't have an abundance of money. So we can weather ups and downs and always remain very stable materially, very safe, very secure. And if inwardly we feel lack, we're never going to be satisfied with what we have. So no matter how much money we make, we are going to create debt and struggle and worry out of it. I knew a woman once who always impressed me as being very prosperous, but not because she made a lot of money. I remember when I first met her decades ago now, she was living on this very tenuous income as a newly practicing massage therapist. And she would tell stories of people she barely knew just showing up unexpectedly even at her door with bags of groceries that they had no idea how much she really needed. Or people would give her huge tips for her massage sessions, just kind of like, you know, $60 massage here, honey, here's a $100 tip. I just want to give this to you. That would just happen to her again and again. And no matter how small her income was, her lifestyle was always comfortably gracious. Even when she made the least amount of money and she had this tiny apartment, it was always beautiful. You would just go into her space and feel like you'd gone into another magical world. It was always perfect and special somehow, and very gracious. And she had beautiful clothes. She said she kept her clothes for decades because she took really good care of them, and she only bought what she really loved, and she always looked good. And she always had enough to give to other people because she was always the person, any gift giving occasion, her gift tended to be the biggest and the most beautifully wrapped and decorated. And sometimes she would be the only person who would remember somebody's birthday and bring some wonderful, beautiful, totally special gift. And she was just very special that way. And I've watched her prosperity grow steadily over the decades to owning a really beautiful home that a person that she just helped, who is wealthy, she just was very kind and helped him when he needed it. He just co-signed a loan for her. I think he helped her with the down payment. She wound up with this beautiful, beautiful home. She married a loving partner, just perfect for her. She has a great career. She has her own healing center, and she has a whole community of people who love her. And just a beautiful life that hasn't been created with a huge income. And her financial wealth has grown, often through generous gifts from people who love her. But what struck me the most about her was this incredibly positive attitude and ability to remain upbeat. I mean, she had a hard life. She was raped and impregnated as a young teen, had her first child, who she raised by herself, and wound up raising grandchildren when she was in her 30s. I mean, she did not have an easy life, but she always was the most positive person, no matter what the challenge. And clearly, the secret of her prosperity came much more from her open-heartedness, her open mind, her optimistic perspective on life, that I think really came more from her spirit than her life circumstances. She just rose beyond. And, there's a lot of books and seminars and methods available these days about how to make more money, from really practical financial strategies to metaphysical techniques. But I think that before focusing on money, how to make more money is going to serve us, I think it's important to first learn to be abundant with what we have now. And if we want more money, to understand why. Because prosperity is available to us without limit. And I've seen people manifest money so easily because it's so abstract. It's one of the easiest things to manifest. However, that inner state is very important. I know I saw a man who just needed like $7,500 immediately. He just finished a workshop with me. He was all high until his ex-wife hit on him with some kind of legal thing for more alimony, child support, something that he wasn't expecting. He called me up, said, "This stuff doesn't work. So much for miracles. I don't believe it anymore." Blah, 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 blah. I said, "Well, let's you and me just take a moment. Let's wrap our brains around this, our hearts, our spirits. Let's just do a little praying, meditating together on calling in." Because he wanted me to, he basically wanted to put a curse on his ex. I said, let's shift. Let's call in so much money that there's enough for her and enough for you and everything, everything. And we did just, about 5 minutes worth. And the next day, Swear to God, it was like the next day he called me up and he said, he's kind of sheepish and said, well, I got my miracle. And he told me how his parents got in touch with him. It might have been like 2 or 3 days later. It was within the same week. I know that. And they had decided that they weren't going to wait till they died to start giving money away. And I believe, legally they could give up to $10,000 as a gift without it being taxable to any of their kids. So they wanted to give each of their kids $10,000. And boom, unexpectedly, he manifested $10,000 in his hand, $7,500 for his ex, with a whole bunch of change left over. Prosperity, yay! But it didn't take very long at all for him to disappear at all and be crying poor again. It was, what he did in his state of mind. So we need to fix that first. We need to fix that. And it's not just the way we think, it's the way we feel. We can change the way we feel by just choosing to cultivate a feeling and then bringing it back again and again and again and again, just over and over and over. That sets up a different vibration. It begins to develop new body memories. Even though we haven't had the actual experience of a full bank account, we have the body memory of having a full bank account. And that starts pulling the external situation into physical manifestation. And having prosperity means having all we need to fulfill our highest purpose and live our highest joy. And for some of us, this requires a lot of money. And for other people, it requires a whole lot less. It's neither good nor bad, whether that means we're going to manifest lots and lots or, a lesser sum that keeps us very happy. As we unhook the idea of prosperity from the prerequisite of a lot of money, it suddenly becomes easier to attract money, easier to live with less money, and easier to experience the abundant life of God, life that God would have for us with or without money. I've told stories here about, I've always done my work on a self-determined donation basis. Right now I'm doing this group on that basis, or it doesn't even go to me. It goes to the hosting spiritual center where you all found out how to attend this class. It's my giving back. But I've always done my work that way. And you've heard me tell stories of how I manifested 2 very large properties, 2 big old houses broken into apartments without putting a penny of my own money into it. I just manifested it. It just came to me. I've told the whole story of, what that looked like bit by bit. But that's how things would happen for me. Poof, they just show up. I didn't have money to go on vacation. Somebody just gave me a whole lot of money and said, this is for you to go on vacation. I had this great vacation. It was so much fun. People would just lend me their condo in some beautiful location. Say, go on vacation. So I didn't need a whole lot of money to feel like I had a lot. And I could offer my workshop without charging thousands and thousands of dollars for it. I could open it to people who wouldn't have been able to give me $1,000 check or a $2,000 check. At the end of the workshop said, my inner guidance is telling me to give you $1,000. And I'd say, okay, pay it however you want. So they might pay me $20 a month for till whenever. I would always have money rolling in, and I didn't care how people paid me or how much, as long as I was offering unconditionally, not worried about it. And it took me a long time to stop worrying about it when I worked that way. It always came, it always flowed. So that's a little bit of what I mean about how we can have a lot of money or we don't need as much to have all that we need and want for a good life. Later in life, I actually manifested my tech guy who's in the other room. He's also my best friend, my husband, my beloved, and my sugar daddy. You know, as I said, we put Lakshmi in the prosperity area of our home when we moved in here 4 years ago. And Bill has made more and more and more and more money every year. It's been amazing, actually. So money, very fluid, very, very fluid. It's important to just wrap your brain around that and open to it. It's really very easy to shift and move and play with. And even if you don't manifest the dollars in your bank account, you might manifest the stuff. I told the story last week of how I gave away $1,000 to my church. I was just leading the service and I wanted to demonstrate tithing and how powerful it is to give money. So I just wrote $1,000 check and said, here, I'm starting it. Here you go. And I knew it would come back because every time I do that, it comes back. And just some weeks later, somebody came up to Bill and offered him a little gift of her passed away husband's musical instrument that's worth thousands that he just adores almost as much as me. It just, boom, showed up in some way that supported, his experience of prosperity. And of course, the $1,000 I gave away came from his income, not from mine. I don't make that much these days. I'm giving too much away. So that's how this stuff works. But because money is such an important collective symbol of power, to struggle with the lack of it, it becomes consuming. And the more our energy is tied up in financial survival, the more we're limited in our ability to thrive and to serve the collective good. Financial struggles inhibit our happiness and our greatness and our ability to make a difference in the world. It keeps us small. The spiritual principles of prosperity are, for the most part, diametrically opposed to the mundane rules of finance. Much of the way money circulates in the world today is rooted in fear. Greed, materialism, miserliness, selfishness are all manifestations of fear. And when we fear there's just not enough to go around and there's not enough for us, we're likely to overemphasize acquiring and holding on rather than flowing. Alternately, we may limit what we're willing to acquire, fearing that it's synonymous with exploitive greed and not consistent with the spiritual life. And when we believe there's not enough to go around, it's easy to feel guilty if we have more than others. Just imagine what would happen if we went about the process of breathing that way. Air is something that we take for granted. It's limitless until we're living near an out of control wildfire, and suddenly it's like, or we have asthma or a lung condition. But for the most part, we tend to take it for granted. But imagine what would happen if we went about the process of breathing the way we sometimes treat prosperity, money, where we would suck in breath and hold it as long as we could, even after it stopped sustaining us, for fear that there wouldn't be enough air. Or going to the other extreme and exhaling without drinking in again for fear of taking more than our share. Or trying to store up a lifetime supply, or taking just little shallow breaths, or worrying about each breath. You know, you could take that analogy on and on and on and on, but you get what I'm talking about. We can learn a lot about prosperity by using breath as a model. Money is energy, and it needs to follow the same easy, continuous flow as breath if it's going to nourish and support us. So before I go any further, I'm going to do a really short little breathing prosperity meditation. So everyone just stop and close your eyes and just take some deep, full breaths. Ah. And with every breath, imagine your highest good, financial or otherwise, to be as plentiful and accessible as the air that you're breathing. Affirm that you are as deserving of this abundance as you are deserving of breath. Imagine that you're having plenty of money and whatever other material prosperity you desire. It doesn't make there be less for others, any more than your breath robs others of theirs. And imagine that letting go of what's no longer serving you, as well as sharing your abundance with others, is as safe and easy as breathing out. And as you breathe in deeply and exhale completely, feel the interrelatedness of giving and receiving, of letting go, and taking in, of ending and beginning, each giving rise to the other. So open your eyes now and come back. And as we continue the rest of our class, just be particularly mindful of your breath. And every now and then, just breathe in fully. And exhale deeply, imagining yourself taking in everything that's for your highest good and letting go of everything you no longer need. And put yourself to sleep this way tonight, like breathing in prosperity and the goodness of life. Breathing out everything else. Everything else. You can name it. You can see it go as you breathe it out. Or you can just generically ask God to just take everything you don't need out of your life, out of your body, out of your mind as you breathe out, and give to you all that's for your highest good as you breathe in. And you can picture that or not. Just ask God, fill in the blank. So, as I've been saying here tonight, money is actually really easy to manifest through spiritual work because it isn't anything tangible or concrete. It's such an abstraction. It's energy before it becomes something specific. So it really lends itself to spiritual experimentation. And our state of mind can easily generate energy. Just imagine yourself exhausted, more completely exhausted than you've ever been before. You've ever, you can just barely lift a finger. You're just flattened. You've been working so hard. Maybe you haven't gotten any sleep. You've been working around the house. You're just completely depleted. Maybe you're even a little bit depressed too. Maybe you're in a rut. You're stuck. You're just out of steam. And then all of a sudden you find out you won the bazillion-dollar lottery. Boom. Wouldn't you suddenly have more energy? Wouldn't suddenly something, nothing physically changed in your world. You just got a new thought that completely changed your vibration. And it might seem like something outside of you gives you energy, but no, what made the shift is your state of mind. If you psych yourself up to have more energy, you can call it up. Firewalking workshops operate on the same principle. They do work. They're not scams. I know lots of people who've done them. My favorite example of firewalking was a good friend of mine who was very severely disabled, and she had been in a wheelchair for about 6 years, had very dwarf limbs, and she did a firewalk, and she actually got out of her wheelchair. There were people holding her hands, and she did not bounce over the hot coals. She walked very, very, very slowly. I mean, there was no way she could trick those burning coals. And there's a video of that actually was shown at her memorial service after she died several years later. And she said about that experience is that the miracle for her wasn't even walking on hot coals. It was that she was out of her wheelchair for the first time in 6 years, and she was able to get by on crutches when she wanted to after that for a number of years. So much changes in our mind. So much. Reality changes as we change. And money energy can be called up as easily as physical energy just by changing our minds. Even though manifesting more money may seem as impossible as walking on fire, maybe that feels easier to you than manifesting more money. It's not. It's kind of the same principle, no easier, no harder. The only thing making it difficult is the huge power and seriousness we give to the idea of money and the fear we surround it with. However, too much energy without a use for it can do more harm than good. Imagine drinking coffee until you're bouncing off the walls and can't relax and just have the jitters. Or the fire that cooks your dinner becoming out of control and turning into the kitchen fire that burns down your house. Amassing money energy without giving it a clear purpose or direction isn't always a good thing either, as many people who have come into gigantic financial windfalls like lottery wins have found. Often people who've won the lottery, like their lives just spiral downward. It doesn't really serve their highest good and purpose and all that. They don't know what to do with it. So if we make money our goal without being clear about what we really want from it, we might succeed in creating more money, but still not have the experiences of safety, self-worth, freedom, happiness, love, the things that we really want. It might even distract us from our deeper callings. Like, I didn't have to, when I manifested new properties that I became my homes, partly rented, partly lived in, I didn't focus on how am I going to make the money to buy that. I just kept thinking, oh, wouldn't it be so lovely to have that much space? Oh, that's just so beautiful. Oh, I could just imagine all my furniture, like right over here, like there. I just kept imagining it in a way that felt good. I didn't focus on how to make more money. If I focused on how to make more money and only just longed for what I couldn't have, I would just still be focused on more money. As it was, I wasn't even thinking about the more money. I was thinking, oh, wouldn't it be lovely? And it just just got dropped in my lap. I mean, really, pretty much just dropped in my lap. That's how easy it is and how simple it is. But we have to go right into that inner state of what we truly want. And what is that inner state? The inner experiences we crave are always accessible, often more so than we imagine, and it doesn't hinge upon the manifestation of external change. So a lot of times we put off happiness, assuming we need to achieve certain goals and circumstances first, like, oh, well, if I could make that much money, I could live in that house and I would really love it. It would really make me happy. And oh, that'd be so great. I didn't do that. I didn't even think about it. I just thought, oh, wouldn't it be lovely? That's such a lovely daydream. It just kind of makes me happy, fills me up to think about it. That is cultivating the inner state, the inner vibration. And that's what I mean by actively building into our lives now the inner experience we want. It's the quickest route to all the external outcomes that are best going to support our continued happiness. That's what attracts the outer circumstances. It's the inner state creates the vibration that's like a ripple of energy we put out into the universe that connects with those circumstances that match it. That is the way, well, that is the law of attraction. That is essentially spiritual law and how it works. So here's a little exercise where you need your pen and paper. Write down what it is that you want money for. Like, I want a new car, I want a new home, I want more time, I want a vacation, I want to get all my bills paid, I want to be out of debt, I want to start my own business, and so on. What is it? See what it is. Write it down. Not the thing that you should have, but the thing that just makes you feel like, that would be so lovely. It's a feeling. It just feels like, that's the thing. That's the thing. And when you've got that thing, identify the 3 most important essence experiences, or at least 1 or 2, related to having these things. An essence experience is the inner feeling you believe these things are going to give you. It could be, for example, security. I've paid down all my debts. Now I just sleep peacefully at night. I breathe freely. It's that feeling of security. Could be a feeling of freedom. I don't have to work every minute of every day. I have time. I can do what I want. It could be a feeling of joy, self-worth, relaxation. I get to go on vacation. I get to play. Love. I feel like I'm worthy. I can be loved now. I can love myself. I can have that vibration that will call love into my life. Creativity, fun, pleasure, peace, power. There are so many things that we think our external goal is going to give us internally. See what it is for you. And write those down. And now, close your eyes. We're going to do a meditation around this. We're going to do some spiritual work with it. Just close your eyes. Just relax your body. Quiet your mind with some deep, full breaths. And just imagine that your highest good is as plentiful and accessible as the air you're breathing. Imagine yourself afloat in a sea of light that is the limitless light that we've been celebrating throughout the last season, recent months. The light, the physical light that is also metaphoric for that spiritual light of all goodness, of all well-being, of all divine love, the divine source. And right now you are breathing it in with every breath. And just allow yourself to be held in the loving and blissful embrace of this limitless source, safe, whole, at peace, gently rocked in this ocean of light, taking it in with every breath. And just affirm to yourself that you are as deserving of this abundance as you are deserving of breath. And imagine that you're having plenty. Doesn't make there be any less for others to have any more than your breath robs others of theirs. And understand that deep peace and unconditional love allow us to draw freely from this divine source. And that as any one of us learns this secret of love and peace, trusting God, we naturally, effortlessly raise others up into abundance and well-being and prosperity along with us. We don't have more at their expense. We create something that is win-win, because this is the new model that evolution is taking us into. So the more we open to our spirit-given abundance, the more we help others to do the same. So now imagine that the quickest route to having the money and the other external circumstances that we want is to feel it inwardly first. So start right now. Take a couple more deep prosperity breaths. Breathe in divine love, divine light, divine abundance. and create the inner experiences you most want from money. Fill yourself with that inner experience, with the safety you're longing for, the freedom, the love, the joy, whatever it is you think you need money to feel. Feel the pleasure and fulfillment of it as a sensation in your body. And picture yourself having all the things you want as though you already do. Don't get attached to it. If it feels impossible, that's fine. Let it remain an impossible dream. Allow it to be a pleasurable daydream. Because when we think of something as impossible, but just daydream about it, we're not attached. We're not attached. We're not waiting and longing and wishing. This is just about right now. So just go way beyond. Imagine yourself on your fantasy yacht if that's what feels fun and joyful. Create that big, abundant daydream that just makes you smile. You don't have to decide, is this possible for me or not? Let it be fun. Let it be fun in a way that cultivates that inner experience of, oh, wouldn't this be lovely? This feels so divine. This just feels so good. And as you just picture yourself in your fulfilled life, wherever that may take you, the deck of your mega yacht or wherever, just allow to come up all the emotions of satisfaction and well-being and gratitude and joy that go along with having your dream. Let this imagining be a pleasurable moment to luxuriate in. And just repeat it every day or so for as long as it stays fun. The minute it becomes work, just stop it, let it go. But as long as it feels fun and light and pleasurable, allow yourself this daydream. Being there, already there, wherever your prosperity takes you, in your new home, with your true love, on your mega yacht, on your beautiful tropical island, wherever it is, see yourself there. Maybe it's right home, at home, with your feet up, reading a good book, not at work, because you let go of the job you didn't really like all that much. Just imagine it as the most lovely, beautiful daydream. And then gently bring yourself back. Bring all those good feelings back with you, just that vibration within you. It's already sending little vibrational tendrils out into the universe. And there's an action step. And I'm not going to get into it in this live class because, we're running a little bit long. But do go into the written materials and read it. I think the action step is an important follow-up for this. Let me get down to, let me find our... There's also a piece in the written materials that talks about what to do during scarce times. What to do, how to manage them, how to go through them so that they become a launching ground for your next phase of prosperity. Because they can be very fruitful times that really help us, that propel us really into a new phase of growth and well-being and drawing all kinds of abundance into us. Or we can go into a funk and just spiral down. Our choice. So read that part. Bill, I believe, put up in the chat the code for this week, and I will find it for us. There's also a prayer in the written materials. It's the one that we did as our first meditation that I suggest you do every week, holding everyone here in mind. So we really harness our power together. You know, when we pray for other people, it makes a difference. So if we all pray for each other, we have that much power going for us. And if you don't use this prayer just in your own prayer practice, imagine everyone in the Miracles course now rising along with you in abundance and love and joy. And so to get to the written materials, just go to my website, lynnwoodland.com, and click on the Miracles course option in the menu bar. That takes you to a drop-down menu where you see the months of the year. Look for July. We're now in the second week of July. And click on that. That'll take you to a page that is hidden unless you click in a code, which is 26, capital E, capital C. E is in Edward, C is in cat. 26 EC. If you missed last week and want to review, go to the first week in July and type in 25 capital Z, capital E, 25 zebra. And please, whether you are reviewing a class or attending live, please give generously to whatever spiritual center sent you here. I don't get any money for doing this. I do it as my giving back because I know whatever I give always comes back to me. Like that story, I just gave $1,000 to my church. You know, my church feeds me. I feed it. Came right back just weeks later. It does come back when we give with that intention of unconditional love. And it's important. It's very important. Also, I just want to put in a plug. I noticed our group size has gotten a little bit small in the last few weeks. Go tell your friends. If you know people who you think not necessarily really need this class, but who you think would have something to add to it, you know, who has some spiritual power, as all of you do, who you would like to be part of your spiritual team, put it out to them. Put out a little email to your friends, a little Facebook, whatever. Help us grow our alchemical juice here a little bit bigger, because the more the merrier. You know, I like to work with the energy of the group here. So anything left? Those of you who feel done, like I got what I need, gotta go, you can say goodnight. Anyone who would like to share or ask questions about the content tonight, you can stay on. Anyone who didn't get a reading earlier who would like one, you too can stay on. So this part, I'll open it up for you all. Whatever you got, just unmute and jump in.
I'll take a reading then.
Okay. Anything in particular going on, Sheldon? Say we missed you at Tuesday group.
I know. I didn't. I never.